Hi everyone, this is Shirley and this is Resolution of the Heart. It has been a long time since I have spoken with you guys on this channel, and a lot of the process is basically myself. When you go through something as hard as losing a spouse or a mother, daughter, son, it doesn't just go away just like that. When I started this channel, I had so much gusto, I thought, and I just wanted to share this with people and hear other people's stories. And when I did story, and I'll put the link because it's the only interview that I did come to the conclusion that I did not know enough to be talking to people. And it wasn't even that I knew enough, it's that I had too much emotions going on inside of me, and I would have been too sympathetic, too much empathy, and I would have drained myself. I Over the last 5 years, I've learned that I am an empathetic person, that I have a whole lot of empathy for a person. It has started to wane off, but I can feel other people's a lot of times, sometimes, most of the time, sometimes I can feel what they're going through. And it's not a good feeling. And sometimes I can bring stuff home with me, and I'll be just, it's all in me. I don't know how to drop it. So I realized that I needed more experience. I took one course and completed it. I don't know if they're going to do anything else with that. And this was related to the religion that I'm in, the best. No, best. And truly, it is the best. Um, but I realized that I just didn't have enough, and I wanted to be when I give, to give enough of myself and not to be too involved and to be able to walk away. So I felt like I needed some more things up under my belt. So I took that course. That course was completed. I don't even know what's going to go on with that, or if they're going to have any more courses. Then excuse me, I took, I'm taking a course in death and dying, and I'll get a certificate from that. And the credits will be, it is accredited course. So when things do start back opening up, if I decide, which I think I will need to get some type of degree if I'm going to go further into anything as far as grief counseling, because I can't counsel anyone at this time. All I can do is listen to people. But I also, along the way, let me tell you how this happened. So I have some credit and I have some background. I may have maybe almost 2 years in, to get, I mean, maybe a year and something. I thought I only had a year, but when I talked to the counselor, I had well over a year to get an associate degree, because I have been taking courses many times. So, um, in order to get into this course of death and dying, I needed to have some type of one of the criterias. And I think this is just God making it all work out for me. Um, so I needed to either have a degree, be a counselor, um, have some experience, or be a minister. Well, which one do you think I took? I took the minister. And the thing about it was, after I got my license as a minister, and please, when I say minister and reverend, I look at that and I go, oh my gosh, because half of the time there's some ministers um, some priests that I do admire, some nuns I admire because they dedicate their life to God. And I learned that along the way. I can tell you about those stories too. So some of the nuns and some of the priests I do admire. Some of the ministers, some of the reverends I don't admire, because it's some of them, it's a money pit. They work at wrenching your heart up and just keeping you within the flock and keeping you in ignorance. So to be called a reverend is like the only thing I could pick, because I'm not a priest and I'm not any of the other stuff. And I'm not even a reverend, but let's just say to get me in the course, I became a reverend. And as time go and I'm learning more, I really do like what I'm learning, and I would love to talk to others about it. So I think that was a God sent to me. So to get in, so at this point in time, I realized that I just didn't have enough. So you guys know that I work with seniors, and I've been working with people who've been in hospice, and it's been beautiful. It really has been beautiful, and especially the one lady that I shared on my other channel, the Japanese lady that was 100 years old. That touched my heart so much that it just propelled me to want to go into doing and working for myself, to be able to touch, to be with more people, at that time. So that also plays into, oh, okay, this is going to come in handy even more. So the channel has started out to be something of sharing inspiration of other people who had someone that passed away and they wanted to share how they uplifted. But the channel is evolving as I'm evolving, which I know I say that and you haven't seen a darn thing, but I tell you, I am the channel. I am the channel, and it is evolving. So that's where I stand with that. Now, to say all that is to say that I want to be able to give more to the people that I work with. And so I've been working on the side as getting my small business together. And I'm very excited. I haven't been excited in 5 years. I have it seemed like everything shut down when my husband shut down. I shut down. And so the stories that I'm going to tell you is not just for you who want to who I send to this channel or wish that you come to this channel from my other channel, but it's also for the people who I direct to this channel outside of the YouTube community, that people that I run in touch with, I come in touch with, and they want to know, who is this, and do I really want to also um, have her with my loved ones? Okay, I can say that I am not a multi-million dollar home care company that it's all about the money. For me, it is about the soul and the spirit. And to have that experience and to be there with them at that time or just before that time and up to that time. Sometimes it's very hard for family members to be there because it's hurtful or whatever it is. I don't know. There's many reasons why people cannot be with their loved ones. I think a lot of it is that they have their own life, and they prefer to come at the end and the very end. So I am working on doing my own thing. And if you see this video, you will know who I am. And I'm sharing this not just with the people that I want to work with, but I'm sharing this with other people who are young folks, and maybe older folks, who found themselves in a situation where they think that life, life sucks. And right now, there's so much hate going on in the world, and so many different things. I just want to tell you that there is hope, and I hope these stories that I tell about my life, they will help uplift you from wherever you're at. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm anybody as far as fancy and money and all that stuff. No. But what I can tell you is I'm someone who have learned with good association, with family, with faith, that you keep on going. And then when it's all over, you still be going. That's the secret. We'll get into that later, or I'll send you to a channel that to the community that has been a blessing to me if you want to learn more about God. So, what I'm going to do is tell a story. And this is hard because I'm opening up my life to the world. And the only time it closed down is when this channel shuts down. And, or I shut down, either or, okay? But let's start. Where do we want to start? I kept thinking, how am I going to do this? Because I wanted to go, do I want to go from small or do I want to start now and go back? But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from one thing that I know for sure. And the one thing I always know for sure was this life was not right. I always knew that in my heart that something was not right. And I was never, the type of person that could, I just was, I looked at people, but I was never interested. I mean, I was interested in seeing how they come and go and things like that, but I never was like really involved with people, even at a young age. And it wasn't that I was so shy. It was just, I thought people were interesting. And I used to, even when I got older at a certain age, I used to look at people and wonder, well, why? Why are you doing that? Well, why did you do that? Some people I really admired a lot. There was a lot, sometimes a lot of people I did admire in my life, but I never was, and I'm going to put that out there, a jealous or hateful person. I never tried to knock anyone down. And if anything, I always tried to pick people up, and there were so many people in my life that brought me up a little bit more. And even though it was in a worldly way and not a godly way, they were there for me. So I'm thinking, when I was young, and you can tell me if you had this experience, when I was young, did you ever think something's not right? I just always felt like, I remember, and I know I've seen like on TV, I've seen channels, I think, where people used to try, I used to always try to fly away when I was young. I mean, I literally was trying to fly. I kept feeling like I don't belong here. And I would be on my grandmother's porch and I would just be flapping my wings, trying to fly away. I just like this, this is the wrong place. That is the one thing I remember. And that always stuck with me. You know, as um, as I got older, of course, you stop trying to fly away because you can't fly. You just don't. You cannot fly, so you have to stop. Um, I just was. I think I've always been an old soul. I've said that many times, and I still am. And I think being that old soul has saved me many, many, many times. It has kept me out of trouble. It it's been okay. So there's a story, and I think the one I want to tell, I want to go back. Um, this is before I was even born, and this is a story of my mother. My mother was a school teacher, and you know, that's what people were school teachers because that was the choice. A school teacher or a nurse, right? So that's what you would do. Okay. So um, my grandmother, now you don't know this about me or my part of my family. My grandmother was a madam. She owned a house. And a lot of people, you got to look that up and find out what that was. And she was a very strong woman. And I loved her so much, but I didn't know her at that time. And all this became familiar to me later. And I will tell you how it became, how I learned about it. I think I didn't tell you this part, but I did tell you part of it. But how I learned it from my mother, that she was a madam. And this goes way back in the South. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, period. And I love my grandmother. I love my mother. I love my aunties. I only had one auntie. Well, I don't say aunties, because my grandmother had two daughters. And my mother was basically raised by her grandmother. And her grandmother was the one to encourage her to go to school and to become somebody. Okay. So out of our family, she was the first one to get a, say, high degree education by becoming a teacher. And she was smart too. I couldn't put nothing on that one. She was very smart and financially smart. And so as things turned out, was that my grandmother is very light skinned, and my auntie is very light skinned. And so my mother was dark skinned, and she wasn't, she was beautiful to me, and she's beautiful to her kids, and she was beautiful to her grandmother, but she was dark skinned. And back in the day, you know how that was. So she did not partake of the family business, okay? And my mother felt rejected from my grandmother, and this is what she told me. And the point of this story is not to just throw laundry out there, but to let you know, wherever you come from, wherever your family came from, you are special, you are loved, and you are in God's memory. We may have forgot about him, but he has not forgot about us. So to say this, and I'm going to end this here, is that as my grandmother got older, and she was the heart of us all. I mean, she was a very strong woman, and I loved her. I would do anything for her. And she did so much for each and every one of her grandkids and her great grandkids. And to say that no matter how you have been treated by your mother or other family members, and they may never say, I'm sorry, they may never forgive you. But like I said, remember that God is in your heart and he loves you. And all you have to do is ask, and he will show himself to you. And my mother, the lesson that I learned from her is that you always love your family, no matter what. I saw my mother take good care of my grandmother in her older age. My grandmother didn't need anything, and she forgave her, and she loved her. And that's one of the lessons that we need to remember. Yeah, our parents, they don't have a guideline or a book, but you know, they make mistakes. You've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. Some kids cannot forgive some of the smallest mistakes that we make. They can't. It's like, you did this and you really did nothing. They don't know what true hurt means. But kids can take things, something small, and forget that we are only human, and it can just mess up their whole life and how they see you. Or if it's not that, other people around them can influence them. And what I want to say is that it doesn't matter where you come from, what you have. You always got to have love, because love is within you. You just don't know it. You don't see it. You don't recognize it. You shut the door on it, but it's always there for you. So I'm going to stop here because this is almost 30 minutes and I don't want them to go too long. So on our next subject, we'll move further up, and that is a little bit more about my background, where I came from, that you didn't know, that helped shape me to be who I am. Okay, you guys, remember to take care of yourself and love yourself and forgive, because when you forgive it yourself. It's here because God is in our heart. And in the Vedic scriptures, he is called the super soul. And he see that, so just give it up. Let it go. Forgive. It's not, let it go. When you realize you did that, you can move on and life is happier. I'll see you next time.